Welcome to the Your Next Best Step podcast, where it's all about real experiences, real lessons, real hurdles, and everything in between. I'm Theresa, and I'm bringing you over 20 years experience in business, leadership, and marketing to help you shift out of your corporate thinking and into being an entrepreneur so you can maximize your results, build and empower your team, and make a bigger impact. It's time to turn your ideas into innovation, and that's only the beginning. So let's get started. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Next Best Step podcast. I am so excited to have you listen to this episode this week. It is the first time I have ever interviewed someone live in their place of business, for the podcast. And I found out very quickly that I am on the extended learning plan of interviewing people live, what to do and what not to do. So I want to just put it out there early and set the expectations that typically when I record a podcast, I'm in my studio, I have my own equipment and everything. But for this podcast, since we were live, I didn't have everything that I normally have. And I also ran into challenges that day where my software wasn't working right, my mic wasn't working right. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're just going to run with this. And he was so gracious. The owner of Jay's Local, Lyell Scherline, was so gracious and so understanding and so patient. And I just turned to him at one point and I was like, even though I was like sweating, I turned to him and I just said, hey, you know what? We're just going to roll with it. Because you know what? This is life and stuff happens. And what are you going to do? So let's just do this. And you know what? And we did. And we talked about how Lyell got started. We talked about his background. We talked about, his education, which you have to listen to all the things that this man has done and where he has lived. It's incredible. And kind of how Jay's Local, how he came up with the idea for Jay's Local and the core values that he brings into the business, the struggles that he faced the past, 2 years, actually. I mean, he opened up his business 5 months before COVID. I mean, crazy. And he's a restaurant, right? So I want to make sure that you listen, even though it's not the same sound quality and everything, and there is some background noise. You know what? The message in here is so, so good. And I want to make sure, especially if you are a local business owner, I want to make sure that, we give you the opportunity to listen to this. And you got to listen to the full thing. I am going to be back here halfway through the episode because we actually had to cut the episode. We cut the recording because two older ladies walked in to see his dishwasher because of the potential of using it or buying it. And so we had to cut, and then I had to start a new recording, which again was another challenge I had. But so I'm going to come back and talk to you midway through the podcast. But again, there are so many great insights. One of the most amazing insights that he has in here is how he has pivoted, how he has zigged when everybody else has zagged. So again, if you are a local business owner or any business owner really right now, and there's so much uncertainty in the world, this is an episode for you because this shows, he is a true visionary. It shows the tenacity that you need to have, the determination that you need to have to start and grow a business, no matter what impact comes. But the biggest thing is to really fully understand why you are doing what you're doing in your business other than money. So, and Lyell he is so, he explains everything so great. And he has such a great story. So I'm just going to be quiet and I'm going to let you listen. And I will be back here midway through the show to kick off the second part of the show because there is a surprise. He threw a curveball at me at the end of the show. So you got to listen all the way through and stay tuned because it was a great curveball and it was a great conversation. So again, I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you listen. So I'll see you back here soon. I am super, super, super excited to be interviewing someone who owns a local business who is actually right across the street from where I went to college. So when I came here this morning, it was like a walk back in time. But I'm super excited to introduce the creator and owner of Jay's Local in Allentown, Pennsylvania, right across the street from Muhlenberg College, Lyell Scherline. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
This is like super, super excited. And for those of you that are listening, you're gonna also want to check out on my LinkedIn show, as well as on the YouTube channel for the video. We're doing an audio and we're doing a video, so make sure you check that out. But I am super excited to be here today. I told Lyell that this is the first time I've interviewed someone in their space versus being virtual. So this is super exciting. So Lyell, tell us a little bit about you. Not the business yet, about you and your background.
So I was born and raised in Allentown. I went abroad for a while. I spent some time in South America and in Spain. So I really enjoyed travel, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I feel like a lot of my friends, they went to college, then they went to grad school and kind of followed the same path. I wanted to kind of be a little bit different. So I wanted to become fluent in a second language, so I chose Spanish because it's very useful in the States, and ended up doing a gap year, moving to Spain, and then eventually finishing off the gap year in Argentina, and got my master's in business and did a lot of international stuff.
Wow.
So I did a lot of did a lot of travel and try to find my passion through travel, really.
So what is your passion?
I feel like it's a mix between food, entrepreneurial endeavors, family, business, and just community outreach and collaboration.
Mm. And so right now, I mean, we've been talking all morning about how important it is for the community to come together and collaborate prior to COVID, but even more so now with COVID. So tell us a little bit, because we've been talking and Jay's Local brings the community together. So tell me a little bit about how you got started with Jay's.
So I didn't know if I wanted to open my own restaurant or if I wanted to rent out the space. I used to do, or I still kind of do, real estate development. So I saw this building, I saw it was in a really good location, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it, whether, I do something myself or just kind of use it as, an income stream. And then it kind of occurred to me to reach out to the school. Muhlenberg College is literally right across from this space. And we found out that they have a really good entrepreneurial department. So we found out that we could work with the students and they could really have an impact in the concept and in what goes in this space. So basically everything that we did by collaborating with them, we put into our concept. We learned that they want a lot of snacks. So we put that on our menu. We learned that they wanted healthy options. We learned that they wanted affordable prices. They wanted really good coffee. They wanted longer hours, which didn't really work out because of COVID. But in the beginning, that's what we tried to give them. So it was really giving the students an opportunity to have a say in a local business.
Wow, that's interesting. Because there's not a lot of schools that I've seen, or a lot of places where taking into consideration like what the students want and what the community wants, and then give them a say into what you're creating.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because in business, when your employees are part of developing the vision or developing the business, they're even more engaged and more, more willing to, be a part of things. So I think that's really interesting that you've done that to get their feedback and make them part of creating the business.
Right. Well, I figured if it didn't work out, at least I could have somebody to blame the failure on. I'm just kidding.
No.
But we figured it's right across from the school, so they would be frequenting this location often. So we wanted to make it work. The previous place that was here before us, it was a restaurant and it wasn't even open for a year. So we figured let's not make whatever mistake they made and really, give the people what they want.
So as far as, being a restaurant, because I'm sitting in here and again, if you're in Allentown and, visiting here or even, you can follow them online on Instagram. You're on Facebook?
We're on all.
Okay.
I feel like nowadays, if you're not on everything, then you should be.
Yeah, you got to come here because they've got, right now you could see this. I am drinking grilled lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you have? You have kombucha.
I have kombucha. Yeah.
Yum.
I figure I switch it up a little bit.
And tell me again what this pretzel is.
So those are local pretzels. It's one of our popular items. They're 2 soft pretzel rods, so they're good for sharing. We do a honey garlic glaze on top, so it's made with local honey, a bunch of different ingredients and spices, salt, pretzel salt, and we do a side of our house-made honey mustard. So it's a true local product. We use local honey from Funny Farm Apiaries, which is a local apiary. So we try to make it, true to this area. That's why we call it local.
I'm telling you, if you could see, I am a pretzel. I love soft pretzels, and these soft pretzels are amazing with that glaze on top.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. So, let me ask, what do you think? Obviously, community is one thing, but what do you think? Like as far as Jay's Local, what are the core values that are important to you building this business out?
I think to start off with, I think when I was creating this, I really wanted to create a family business. I wanted some place where, my wife, when she's not doing physical therapy, she could work here. We're open on the weekend, so family could come and instead of just, sitting around and, eating, they could really, feel involved in the space. They could help with the customers. They could help take orders. They could help in the kitchen. So that's really what I was trying to create here, more of like a family-based business. So my mom works with us. My wife is here when she's not doing physical therapy. When my brother comes in from New York, he's helping cook. So it's really an all-around family-oriented kind of business, which is important to me. I really wanted a space where family could come and I could just put them to work. That last part was kind of kidding. But yeah, it is nice to really have family feel involved. Like this is their space. Like it's not just, this is Lyell's restaurant. This is my family's establishment.
Right. So do you consider yourself a visionary?
I try, yeah. I like to do things different. When I didn't want to follow the path of my friends from college, I wanted to go to grad school in another country and kind of do all that stuff. I feel like I try to go on the unique side of things, to really test the boundaries and really set myself apart from everybody else. A lot of people are scared to try different things. I feel like that's what I love doing. Just trying it, what's going to happen. Nobody else has done it before. So if I fail, who's gonna know? Who could I compare myself to if nobody's ever done it before?
Right. So do you think a visionary is somebody that does what no one's tried before? Like what's the definition of a visionary for you?
I like just kind of doing things a little bit different, doing things that people need, that people want, helping people. So that's kind of what I like to think of it as this space and what I see myself, doing with this space.
Right. Wow. So
did I get the answer right?
No. There is no right or wrong answer. Like I like people because I'm all about helping people to be visionary leaders. Mm-hmm. And so as I said, I'm looking around at this space and it's just so different. Some people would look at here, or some people might see it online and might think, oh, it's just a cafe, or it's just a coffee shop, or it's just a sandwich shop. And the truth is, it's not. It's much more than that. You can, when you step into this space, you can feel it's very warm. You can feel.
It is summertime.
Well,
it's turned the air conditioning on a little bit, but it is a little bit warm in here.
Besides that, but you can feel that community. You can feel the difference. I mean, the food is different. The drinks are different. So it's definitely like when I only just connected with you not that long ago, but you are the embodiment of what a visionary business leader is.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I
so you passed.
Yeah. It's like, do I have to look up the word in the dictionary?
No. You passed. So let's talk about some things that you're doing differently now. Okay. Because, when COVID happened, we're going to talk about the other part of this in a minute, but when COVID happened, a lot of people, you needed to pivot. A lot of people didn't want to pivot. And unfortunately, that led to either, they lost revenue and some of them, had to close, but you pivoted. Mm-hmm. So, and even now with everything that's happening, tell us a little bit about what's Jay's Local doing that's different? Like, how are you carving your own path besides the restaurant itself?
So we just try to think outside the box, whatever we could do to really involve the community, to do things different, whether it has to do with the food that we serve here, the merchandise that we sell here, which we get from local vendors. If you look over there, we actually have a local candle based on one of our food items. So that's our local freeze.
I thought that was a cupcake.
That's a local freeze. Somebody thought it was food once, and she asked how much it was, and we were like, it's $16. And she was like, $16 for this? But it's a locally made, it's a 3D candle, and it's based on one of our food items. So I always think, what restaurant has a candle made, based on one of their menu items, which is, I feel like, unheard of. And that's kind of what I like to really do when I'm thinking of different ideas for our restaurant. Just what can we do that's kind of outside the box and involving the local community. That's a local candle maker. She's been here a few times for pop-ups. It's Exquisite Candles. Just a quick shout out, not too far away from here. But they came in and, they're a family-based business and just very unique product. The fact that it's 3D, so you could kind of, you thought it was food. Mm-hmm. They make it look so real. So they have there's a piece of banana coming off of it. There's coffee beans, and they look real, but it's really just made out of wax. So just doing stuff like that, I feel like is really important to what we do here, just to kind of set ourselves apart.
What about, tell us a little bit about the kitchen takeovers and the classes.
So those we kind of started doing ever since we opened, and we would bring in local craftsmen, local small businesses, so everything from candle makers to local plant companies. They come in and they sell their products. We've had hot sauce companies, a lot of bakeries. I'm trying to think of the really unique ones, just locally sourced sustainable products. Those businesses like that come in and they basically set up shop for the day, mostly on the weekends, so our customers could experience and purchase locally made products from local small businesses. And then it kind of expanded recently into more food-based businesses. So businesses that either, want to start a food truck or a catering company, or home bakers that, due to COVID, wanted to branch out. They really like baking and they wanted to really, start a business out of it. So we wanted to provide our space to, people that want to, create something, whether it's food, whether it's something else. It is such an eclectic space. So we feel like, if we're not open, or even if we are open, if somebody could benefit from this location, this eclectic interior, our kitchen, then we're more than happy to help them.
That's so awesome because, I heard this once, it's not about what you can get, it's what you can give. And you are definitely giving back and helping to support businesses who might not have a space or might not, have the means to be able to go big right now. So you're giving them that ability to get their voice out, get their message out, get their product out, using your space.
Yeah.
So, and when we can help each other, everybody succeeds.
Exactly.
Everybody's successful. And I can definitely see that that's a big thing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. My, when we owned our store was all about artisan jewelry and accessories. And our primary mission was to help artisans who couldn't get their voice out because, they were just starting or they had, they didn't have the financial means. So our goal was to be able to promote them. And I think that that's big because again, when we pay it forward, everybody, like I said, everybody succeeds.
Yeah. Well, I remember what it was like when we first opened, being a new business, people don't know you. You have to really like sell yourself and put yourself out there and almost like beg for customers to come in and, doing, samples and deals to really just, build a customer base. So I remember what it was like and, it's not easy. So to know what it felt like and to see businesses that want to kind of do something similar or, have this desire to kind of build something, I could see what we went through. So any kind of support we could offer someone, whether it's using our space, whether it's any kind of guidance during the process, that's really, important to us.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the other side. I know businesses went through a lot of challenges, during COVID. And now with, some people think we're in a recession. Some people think we're going into a recession. And I know that there's been challenges between, trying to hire and retain good people, cash flow issues. So what do you think are the big struggles maybe that you've had and how you've gotten through them?
So I feel like with any business, every industry is kind of struggling right now. So it's just crazy. Everybody's going through this. We hear established restaurants and businesses that have been in business for years are either closing or they're having to do kind of what we're doing is kind of scale back their hours just due to staffing issues or prices have increased like crazy. If you look at what chicken costs right now, It's like you could just go and buy a whole chicken coop for what it costs to buy a breast of chicken.
I know.
So prices have been just increasing like crazy. So I feel like it's not easy for anybody. We're all kind of, facing our own challenges right now. But I think, at the core of it all, you just kind of have to, figure out the best way to get through it. And hopefully things will get better. So, we still want to serve the community. We still want to give them affordable prices. We still want to be here for them. So we just kind of have to, adapt however we can. So for right now, we kind of limited our hours. We're only open on the weekends. So it's hard getting staffing. Muhlenberg College is on break right now. So we're not as busy as we usually are during the school year. And I also just had a little baby. So
yes.
For me, it's just an excuse just to kind of, take it easy a little bit. And then we are promoting this pop-up program. So, if I'm not here and we're not, selling Jay's Local Food, somebody else could come in and, use it on a short-term basis. We actually were talking to a few local restaurants, which had to unfortunately shut their doors, for them to really, try it out, see if Allentown worked for them. They're, Easton or Bethlehem-based restaurant. So if they could kind of gain a presence in Allentown, they don't have to, rent out an entire restaurant. They don't have to purchase a space. They could, run the restaurant out of here maybe one day a week just to kind of build a brand, try something new. So I feel like, kind of seeing our strengths and our weaknesses and kind of utilizing the strengths and weaknesses of other businesses really is important for right now, just with where the economy is.
Yeah, no, it's so true, because you do have a lot of strengths. I'm sure, everybody has their shortcomings, But when you can partner your strengths with someone else who might not have those strengths, but then they have something that you don't, again, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And, I am a firm believer that, local business, we have to make sure that we save, local businesses. We have to make sure that these small businesses, keep going, because they're the backbone of the community.
Definitely.
And when you don't have them, the community falls apart.
Yeah. And you don't see them working together too often. I mean,
No.
it kind of, evolved out of COVID a little bit, just, with doing these pop-ups and food trucks kind of working together instead of competing so much. But they're all kind of, businesses are working, hand in hand, which is nice. And I see it, my wife gets People magazine. So you see like Velveeta cheese is teaming up with like L'Oreal. They're creating like,
that's quite a mix.
Yeah, they're creating their own nail polish. And the Bologna Oscar Mayer is working with like a face product company to make an Oscar Mayer face mask. So it's the craziest thing. We're seeing these companies working together. Oreo and the one with the cheese and the crackers, whatever it's called. Forget the name of it.
I know, yeah.
But they're working together. So you're seeing these, these big companies, Coca-Cola is working with, I don't know, like something else to create like a specialty flavor. So seeing companies work together when they normally wouldn't is interesting. And I feel like it's helping, everybody just kind of grow a little bit.
It's shifting the paradigm of business.
Yeah.
It's not about competition. It's about, it's about working together in community.
Exactly.
So, what do you think of the episode so far? I know the sound is not the normal sound quality that I have, but is the message just so good? Like when I started talking to him, at first, it was like a normal interview and everything. But then like the more we started talking, he's got such a dry sense of humor, and he just is so filled with like insights. And it's just, I don't know. I hope you are enjoying it as much as I enjoyed interviewing him. But I got to tell you, he threw me a curveball at the end of this episode. So normally when I interview people, I'm asking the questions, right? So at the end of this episode, he actually turned things on me and asked me a question. So yes, he was interviewing me on my own show. So as much as you liked the beginning, the first part of this podcast episode, minus the external noises, you're going to love this second part. And even with the external noises, it doesn't, like, I guess you get used to it and everything. But like I said, I am on the extended learning of live podcasting. But as I said, as if you loved the beginning part of this episode, you are going to love the second half of this episode when, like I said, he turns my own podcast into an interview where he's interviewing me. So I hope you like it. I hope you're enjoying it. So here is the rest of the episode with Lyell Scherline from Jay's Local. All right, and we are back. We took a little break there. We are back here with Jay's Local, and we were talking a little bit about the struggles and challenges, and partnering together for with your strengths, with somebody else who doesn't have those same things, and then they can give you something that you might not have the capability of doing. So. Which I think is, again, it's, I think right before we stopped, I said it's shifting the paradigm of business, and we were talking about how large businesses, you see that too, but even more so. And you mentioned like local businesses don't often work together. And I know when we had our store, I mean, it was the biggest, we'd go to merchant meetings and like people would be, well, I can't do that because that person's doing it. And I don't, and or I should be doing that because that person's doing it. It was always a competition. And now, things are definitely changing. And I think that, in your community, you're probably the gap, like bridging the gap, and take every day as it comes, while also thinking, okay, like, what new things can we add,
Right.
And that's a healthy balance between the two. So, well, awesome. This has been an amazing conversation. Like I said, this is my first one where I've actually gone live to the place, and like I said, we're gonna shoot some video in here so you can see the what his space actually looks like. But I have a couple questions for you, a couple like rapid fire questions to kind of wrap up our conversation here. So number one, what is your favorite menu item?
Favorite menu item? I always say, whenever somebody asks me that, I always say like anything that has turkey bacon on it, just because our turkey bacon is really good and we're more on the healthier side of things. And so we don't, fry anything, or we don't have, real bacon or, stuff like that. But I feel like, now that you're asking me that, our hamburgers are really good. We did a cookout yesterday, a barbecue for, was it yesterday? Like 2 days ago, whatever Father's Day was.
Sunday.
Yes. Every day is the same, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But we did hot dogs and hamburgers, just like classic, comfort foods. And we had our hamburgers. I don't tell anybody, but I brought some home to grill. And it's just such a good hamburger. We get them from a local farm, Gawker Farms. Our cheese is from Conabella Farms, which is another farm. Our bread's from Lusitania Bakery in Bethlehem, not too far away. Yeah. Our pickles are from the farmer's market, just a few blocks. It's a garlic dill pickle. So it's just like, it's such a good quality burger. It just tastes very, I'd say it tastes very local, but who knows what Allentown tastes like.
No, but I don't want to know what Allentown tastes like, but cheeseburgers are actually my absolute all-time favorite food.
Oh, cool.
Like forever. I mean, even when I was young and like if I was sick, my mom would be like, do you want a cheeseburger? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, and if I said no, then she knew I was really not feeling good. But
gotcha.
Yeah, like cheeseburgers, and I don't eat meat a whole lot, but cheeseburgers are like my all-time favorite.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those comfort foods. Like you can make it however you want. You could, mustard, no mustard, ketchup, no ketchup, lettuce, tomato, onion. Like you could do it however you want. We get, those weird people who come in and they just want the patty with the bun.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
That's like nothing.
Yeah. Does it even have any taste when you do that?
You have a burger that has an egg on it, don't you?
We've done it before. Everything's customizable, so you could add an egg on it. You could add avocado. You could add turkey bacon. You could basically do up a burger however you like. But we do specials, and we've done a breakfast burger in the past. We've done a cinnamon roll burger.
Yeah, I've seen both of those.
Yeah. So we do whatever might sell, whatever is different.
Awesome. Where does the name Jay's Local come from? I think I know, but where does that name, how did you come up with the name?
So the J is for my dad. He was a local attorney and unfortunately passed a few years ago. Mm-hmm. So this, like I said in your first question, the whole basis for this business was really to build, something for my family and really keep him at the forefront of this. He was very, welcoming and friendly and outgoing and giving, and that's really where the community outreach kind of came from. So really, that's why we have the different kinds of furniture. We have the couches and the tables that you could push together. So we wanted to make it a very welcoming space in here, and he was just a very welcoming person.
He was a pillar in the community.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff, just always gave back. He was from New York, and when he moved here, he just really loved the Lehigh Valley. He just had like this feeling that it was a welcoming place, and it was a place where he could really establish himself. Like it wasn't like it is a fairly decent city, but it wasn't huge where he was just like this, small fish. He really, developed and did really good stuff for the community and really created, a very nice name for himself. Mm-hmm. And so he was very important. And then the local he really loved this area. So supporting local businesses and, not buying from a massive brand or not serving hamburgers from, the local supermarket or something.
The frozen ones.
Yeah. So we,
pucks.
we support just foods from the area.
Right.
I always say everybody knows the colleges. There's a lot of really good colleges, really good hospitals in this area. But they don't know the really good small businesses or the really good farms. Or we get our kombucha from a local farm, and they do yoga classes in their greenhouse. Like that's so different, and that's really important to the products that we sell. It's more about the smaller local brands than anything else.
Right. What is something interesting that people might not know about you that you want to share?
Oh, wow. Ooh, I could say the weirdest stuff right now. It just would not go well. And then my wife would hear it and she'd be like, Lyell, I knew you were going to say that, and I thought you shouldn't, but you did anyway. Something that people don't know about me. I'm fluent in Spanish. I didn't grow up knowing Spanish, but I had that vision or that almost need to kind of set myself apart, and I knew the value of it. So I knew that I wanted to do something that would really make me different from everybody else. And being fluent in a second language, it's just kind of one of those things. When you graduate from college and everyone's like, what are you going to do for work or this or that? I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something different and that I wanted to have a step up or, something different on my resume that nobody else had. Being this American kid from Allentown, Pennsylvania, who's fluent in Spanish with no Latin ancestry, was that thing. So I feel like maybe put that on my dating profile, right?
There you go. There you go. And that's actually, this area does have a very heavy Latino influence. So being able to speak Spanish is good, especially as you get further into the city. And even over in Bethlehem and Easton, huge Latino presence. Yeah,
you see it all over the place. And anywhere you go in the States, you're always going to see that presence.
Right.
So for me, it definitely helps, business-wise. But if somebody calls up and they don't speak Spanish and they want to order a hamburger, and our staff's like, Lyell, I don't know what to say, then I could hop on the phone and I could get that order. So they don't have to go somewhere else.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We didn't miss out on that Spanish order.
So how did you meet your wife? You've talked about your wife several times.
I feel like if I don't say anything about her, then she's going to get pissed.
Okay. So tell us about her.
That. She's from New York.
Okay.
We met on a dating app, which I feel like that's what a lot of people do right now. And we moved here because of COVID. And also because I opened a restaurant, but more because of COVID. And it just, New York was one of like the hot spots. So, to be in a small apartment when you had to be indoors all the time was just not ideal. And just having like that fresh air, you had to walk everywhere with a mask on for like over a year. So we moved here and I really have learned to appreciate this area a lot more as I got older, and then to establish a business and really have the capacity to help the community and kind of grow it was really important to me. So I really had to beg her to move here when she's coming from a big city like Manhattan.
But it's not that far. It's only an hour.
It's not that far, and there are buses that go back and forth. Yes. I commuted to the city. I sat on a bus for an hour and a half on a good day, 2.5 hours on a decent day.
I hate buses.
Yeah, but it is convenient. A lot of people commute to New York from this area. So, it is convenient. Her friends are coming in this weekend from New York, and it's not like you have to get on an airplane or anything like that. So I feel like we have the best of both worlds right now. We have a house with a backyard. We just had a little baby, and we only live a few blocks away from here. So to be able to be in a neighborhood that we really enjoy, almost next to where we work, which is good and bad, because I feel like I'm always here. You're making me come in on my day off when I'm supposed to be breastfeeding right now.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's just, I feel like we made this home. It was always home for me, but we made it home again. We made it a different version of home.
Awesome. So last question before we wrap up. What are you most grateful for?
I'd say first, probably family. My family is very supportive. Whatever, I ask, I don't really like to ask, I kind of like to do. But whatever I ask, whether it's, if I ask my mom to, stay later I don't even do that. I just feel like everything I ask of my family is, they're just very supportive. So whether, I want to do something crazy with the restaurant, or if I want to put turf outside, my family is always behind me in these decisions, and they kind of let me, which was very important of my parents. My dad was successful, so he kind of gave me the opportunity to really follow my passion. Most people don't have that opportunity. So I did work for a bunch of different companies and kind of, had to start from the ground up doing that. But I'm fortunate enough to be able to open up my own business, or to open up my own restaurant. So that is, very, it's very nice when I compare, myself to other people who aren't fortunate.
Awesome. Well, this has been, like I said, this has been great. It's been so good connecting with you. And thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and your insights. For all of the listeners, I think, anybody who's listening to this is going to get so much great inspiration from it. Even if you're not a business owner, just the fact of just helping others and paying it forward, I think that's definitely the theme of this, and how when you can come together as a community, whether it's your family community or the outside community, amazing things can happen. And,
Definitely.
That's really what life is about, know? And when you become an entrepreneur, it's kind of takes it to the next level as far as the journey that you want to go on, in your life. And I just think that, you've just done so many amazing things.
Thank you. Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Cool. I feel like every time I do either like a podcast or an interview, everybody's always asking me questions, and I feel like it's like one of those bad dates where like you just talk about yourself.
I know, you're a bad date.
Yeah. But I am curious, you're the first person that reached out to me that's, not like a food-based business or, wanting to do any of those collaborations. You're more of helping local businesses, which is really important.
Yes.
And it all kind of changed, because of COVID, which I spoke about a lot. But what do you think? A lot of people are, trying to start their own thing, build their own brand, kind of segueing out of corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, from your experience, what do you think is the biggest challenge for anybody that really wants to just start their own company, whatever it may be?
Sure. I think, and I actually, about 6 months ago, I became a SCORE mentor. So SCORE is part of the SBA. Small Business Association, yeah. So with SCORE, it's people who want to start a business. I do get some people who have a business and they're stuck, but most of the people want to transition out. So I became a SCORE mentor, like I said, about 6 months ago. And I think the biggest thing that I saw before, and then now even more so becoming a SCORE mentor, is that people want to, everybody wants to transition out of corporate America and go into opening up their own business. And the one thing that I've told people is, if you can work on it while you're still in corporate, you can work on it on the side. Do that for a period of time. Is it going to take a lot of time? Yes. Work on it during your fringe hours. So if it's, in the morning before you go into work, or at lunch, or when you come home, you don't have to do that forever. But getting yourself to a place where you have that buildup of cash, so that when you finally go into your business, you're not like freaking out. And the reason why I say that is because that's how I did it. I worked full time. I was a director of marketing, director of operations, and we started We actually started our business in 2008 during the recession, when everything kind of crashed. And we stayed in it I actually worked full time and started my business for 3 years before, 4 years before we actually got out of corporate and went into it full time. So I think that's one of the things that I can say is that if you're looking to start your business and you're in corporate and you have an idea for something, I think the first thing is to get super clear on what it is that you want to do, but find time to work on that while you're still in corporate and build a plan to kind of build a cushion of cash so that when you go to make that transition, like everything, kind of flows. Because I've seen a lot of people who just jump and then they go into their business and they don't have any money and they're stressed and their dream job or their dream business became a nightmare. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if you're out of corporate, if you're already out and you want to start your own business, I think the biggest challenge that I've seen is taking your vision, taking your dream, and actually putting it on paper and getting it clear so that you can take the action steps. I think one of the hardest things that people have is implementation. They have this big dream and they're like, either they feel like they have to attack it all at once, or they feel like, I don't know what to do. And they get kind of stuck in their own head. I always tell people business is 90% mindset, 10% tactic and strategy. So if you can get clear on what it is that you really want to do, the difference that you want to make, what your business is going to do, and get that, then you can create action steps from there and break them into really small chunks to go ahead and get yourself moving. I think the other thing, especially right now with people, is if you're in your business now, I think, taking a look at, and you're thinking, with everything that's going on, how can I keep my business going? What can I do differently? I think, number one is staying clear, really focusing on what's at your core and, staying in that place, and how can you do what you do really, what do you do really well? And how can you do more of what you do really well? Things that aren't working and aren't profitable, let go of them. Same thing with expenses, looking at your expenses and saying, where do I have redundancy? Where do I have, what am I spending money on that we don't need to spend money on, and getting rid of that. And then just kind of focusing on how can we, again, what do we do really, really well? How can we do more of that and serve more so we can build up our revenue, to get through, they're predicting next 11 months, are going to potentially be challenging. So, taking those steps, if you're in business right now, to protect your business. I'm big on building a stronger foundation, so that you can be agile and flexible as challenges come your way.
Awesome. Those are good points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did the first one just like you. I was corporate America and was doing both at the same time before I took that leave.
Yeah.
So I feel like I thought, I was looking in a mirror when you were, whatever the saying is, but, definitely when I did take that leave, I was ready. Everything was in place. I did build up those finances from, a big company who was going to pay a lot more. And then when it was time, it was time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, I've seen a lot of people that just jump. Mm-hmm. And then they go into their business and then they either give up, they close, they're frustrated, they're in mega amounts of debt.
Yeah.
I've worked with people, when they've come to me and they are leveraged beyond belief because they didn't focus on building up that cash, building up that reserve fund so that they could, build their business. And gotcha. That's the last thing that anybody wants to do, because people have money mindset issues. People have everybody. If you would be lying if you said that you didn't have one. Everybody has one. And when you are leveraged like that, or when you are stressed about it because you're trying to build cash and the cash isn't coming in, you have all these expenses, those money mindset blocks come up and will destroy a business faster than one.
Well, hopefully whoever's listening to this podcast, you're like, I was about to make the leap, and then I listened to Theresa and Lyell, and I didn't. So hopefully we could have saved somebody
exactly.
from making that mistake.
Exactly. So for the listeners that, I mean, obviously they're going to be listening to the podcast, they're going to be checking this out on LinkedIn and Instagram. Where can they find you? Like, where can somebody, follow you or come find you? What do you have coming up? You have some classes coming up, I think.
Yes, I will say, I don't want to give out my address, so you could find me at the restaurants, but you won't find me at home. And don't follow me. Just come to the restaurant, but don't follow me after I leave. But they could, we're on Instagram, Jay's Local, there's no apostrophe in it. Facebook, same thing. We're on Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, but all of them. I say, and then we have a website, jayslocal.com. You could see all of our upcoming events if you come into Jay's Local and buy food and drinks. We have a list outside of our front door, all the upcoming events, but they're also listed on our social media, and we do post about them several days before an event. For the most part, this summer, I think we have something going on almost every weekend. This weekend, on Saturday, we do have a bakery pop-up coming in from 11 to 2.
Nice.
And Sunday, we have an engraving pop-up, which is the first one we're ever doing like that.
Wow.
Renan Inc., I believe they're based out of Emmaus, or they're definitely from Lehigh Valley. We saw they were doing some cool stuff in the area, so they're coming in, and you could bring your own products. They could engrave. I believe they're selling stuff also, so they can engrave designs or your name or anything on what you're looking for. So
cool.
That's kind of the stuff we have coming up this summer: cooking classes, different pop-ups. What else? And then we do have just a lot of stuff going on. We do have like an interesting art project on the outside of our building, which I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's going to kind of it has to do with Allentown, and it has to do with local and really jazzing up the West End. So that's something else to look out for.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been such an awesome podcast. And if you're in the Allentown area, definitely stop in here. Get one of the, if they still have it, the grilled lemonade.
Grilled lemonade. When we do finish an infusion over the summer, we do make a different version. So we don't usually carry the same thing twice unless there's a lot of requests for it. Mm-hmm. So grilled lemonade, as soon as that's done, we're going to move on to something else.
Nice. Well, come in and try one of their infusions. Get a burger. They sound delicious, or whatever else they have here, because everything just looks amazing. I'm looking at the menu right now and I'm getting hungry. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And until next week, everybody have a great rest of your week and take care of each other a little bit more than we already do. Bye for now. Hey there. I know there is so much going on in the world, and it's so easy to get caught up thinking you just need to get through this time and you just need to survive. There's rising costs and inflation, delays in getting products, struggles hiring and retaining good people, trying to get that edge that allows sales to rise and customer loyalty to increase, figuring out how to stand out online in a sea of competition when you haven't even gotten your website completely done. But I'm here to tell you there's a better way to approach these things. There's a better way to approach this time that we're going through, a way that will lead to higher profits, more money in your pocket, and more time to do the things you love to do. And that's where I come in. I come in to help you fix what's broken, plug the holes, so you can insulate your business from any impacts that might come your way. Over the past decade, I've helped many product-based business owners to turn their business around and increase their income and their profits 20%, 30%, and even up to 80%. Yes, I said that correctly, and you heard that correctly. So what did they do? They stopped spending money on random marketing and software that doesn't work. They hired a high-impact, high-growth team to help them move the business forward so they didn't have to do everything themselves. They implemented processes to streamline work so they could do more with less. And they increased profitability by really and truly understanding their numbers. And most importantly, they started thinking like a CEO and not just a small business owner. And you can do this too. You really can. And I want to help you. You and me working one-to-one to get the results you've been working towards for years. Imagine going from 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures, even to 9 figures. It's totally possible. So apply to work with me in my exclusive Business Masters one-to-one program, and let's do this. Spaces are limited. Unfortunately, there's only one me, but the results that you get are truly extraordinary. So, you gonna do it? Are you in? I look forward to seeing you on our next call. Hey there, it's Theresa, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you join me every week to listen to this podcast. This podcast has been a dream of mine, and when we hit episode 100, I was super excited, and I know now we are on our way to episode 200. If you like what you hear, and I know you do because you're here, I would love if you could head on over and leave us a review, either on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, on whatever it is that you're listening to this podcast. I would absolutely love it. When we get reviews, when we get 5 stars, it enables us to show up higher in the different categories so that more people can find us and we can make a difference in more small business owners' lives. So I would love if you could go on and leave me a review, and also tell me what you love, tell me what you want to hear more of, and how I can help you, because that's what I'm here for. I am here to give you real life experiences, real life coaching, real life stories from my work, my experience helping small business owners to build their business, but also me actually building and growing several of my own businesses. So if you love what you hear, please go over and leave a review. It would be absolutely amazing and would mean so much to me. But until next week, take care, and I will see you soon.